Dear listeners, before we get started, drop a quick hi in the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from. Also, if you have any suggestions for us to make the channel better, please let us know. Now let's start with the story. Name's Austin. I'm 31, male, and I run a custom motorcycle shop here in Austin. Yeah, Austin and Austin, real original, I know. Thing is, I didn't name it Austin's Customs or any of that cheesy names. I just let the builds speak for themselves. Business has been killing it since I opened shop 3 years ago. We're talking 6 figures annually, spreads in Bike Week mags, the whole grease-stained dream. Truth? I got laid off from my engineering gig. Middle management called it a strategic restructuring, which I'm pretty sure is corporate for we found someone younger and cheaper. I took this severance check, leased this beat-up old garage that smelled like regret and raccoon piss, and turned it into something real. First year, absolute hell. Like, why did I do this hell? I slept on a cot in the back more nights than I care to admit, burned through savings, and nearly caught fire once, twice if you count the electrical short in the ceiling fan. But now, celebs literally fly in to get custom builds. I once had a reality TV star ask if I could make his Ducati look like it murders people. Classy. The shop's got this raw, industrial vibe. Think exposed brick, rusted vintage signs I rescued from closed-down diners, classic rock always playing, and the ever-present perfume of motor oil, sweat, and steel. Chicks either love it or say it smells like a gas station bathroom with better lighting. No middle ground. I've got 2 full-time mechanics, both of them solid. No drama. No ego wars. Just dudes who know bikes and aren't allergic to work. Noah's this old-school Harley guru who drinks his coffee black and growls when he talks. Pretty sure he once arm-wrestled a bear. Then there's Logan, young dude, part computer, part caffeine, total wizard with sport bikes. The kid once tuned a Yamaha so precisely it purred. Literally. A cat walked in and took a nap on it. So, about 2.5 years ago, I'm at this charity auction. Wounded veterans thing, respect. My old man served, so I always show up when it counts. The event's at some fancy-ass hotel ballroom, black tie, wine that tastes like melted leather, and everyone trying to outbid each other on golf trips and spa packages they'll never use. I bought a table because the business was finally doing well, and hey, networking doesn't suck when you're the guy who makes $40,000 motorcycles look sexy. Midway through the evening, in walks this smoke show, blonde, legs for days, black dress, painted on like it was part of her skin. She scanned the room like she was shopping for upgrades, and buddy, when her eyes landed on me. Game on. Meet Kathy, 27, PR manager for some tech firm downtown that sells software nobody understands, but everyone wants. Daddy's money, BMW, UT grad with a resume full of internships that start with summer in New York. You know the type. She moved like she owned the place, and when she saw me, tailored suit, beard lined up, sipping bourbon like I was born into a cigar club, she made her move. No hesitation. Now I'm not gonna lie, she was out of my league looks-wise. She was some bachelorette, finalist energy, and I was just trying not to spill on my lapel. But I had something she wanted. My shop was buzzing in all the right circles, and she loved being the girl on the arm of the cool motorcycle guy at her company mixers. I was edgy and rugged. Basically a human accessory that smells like gas and testosterone. My best friend James was there that night too, watching me work my so-called magic from across the table, beer in hand, smirk on his face. James is 32, works in construction management, and built like a brick house. Dude could lift a truck with one hand and roast you with the other. He's funnier than most stand-up comedians. He's got this sixth sense about people, that spooky kind where he'll meet someone, smile, nod, and then say something like, "Bro, that chick's about as real as WWE wrestling." And you'll laugh, brush it off, until 6 months later when she choke slams your bank account and pins your dignity in under 5 seconds. I should have listened to him right then. But hey, Kathy was hot, knew how to work a room, didn't treat me like some grease monkey with a GED, and seemed into what I did, at least at first. Yeah, that is a clear evidence that the heart pumps blood in just one direction. It's either your brain or somewhere between your legs. The early days? Not bad. Solid, even. She'd swing by the shop after work in her pencil skirts and designer heels, looking like a walking tech startup ad, carrying dinner from whatever overpriced fusion place was trending on Yelp that week. Sushi tacos, vegan brisket. Once she brought me a $24 salad and said it was life-changing. It wasn't. It was arugula and disappointment. But she'd sit on the workbench, legs crossed, sipping craft kombucha or whatever, and actually watch me work on bikes. Asked good questions, said she liked the craftsmanship, which was a sexy word coming out of her mouth. Hell, she even got her hands dirty once, helped me polish chrome on a vintage shovel head I was restoring. For 5 whole minutes. snapped a pic for Instagram, and captioned it, "Grease Monkey Girlfriend Vibes, Pure Poetry." Now my dad. Different story. First time I brought her around. We were at his place for a Sunday barbecue. Pops is 65, retired Air Force mechanic. Looks like Charles Bronson if he did push-ups and gave even less of a damn. He's got zero filter. Like, factory defective. Says what he thinks, whether you want to hear it or not, and unfortunately, he's right more often than not, which is the real tragedy. So we walk in, and Kathy's doing her whole polite laugh corporate thing, and Dad pulls me aside with his paper plate full of ribs and potato salad and goes, "She's pretty, son. Real pretty. But watch yourself. Girls like that? Expensive taste. High expectations. Make sure she's with you for the right reasons." Naturally, I brushed it off. Thought he was just being his usual gruff, old-school self. Spoiler alert, he was not wrong. Fast forward through the usual dating dance, Valentine's dinners, couples yoga, once, never again, 3 different Airbnb trips to wineries we couldn't pronounce, and boom, 10 months ago, I popped the question. Dropped $8,000 on a ring she kept casually hinting at. You know, like leaving her phone unlocked on Instagram pages with captions like, "Manifesting this life to sky." I don't even know what that is supposed to mean. Ring shopping? That was a damn crash course. We spent 3 weekends hitting every jewelry store in Austin while she broke down cut, clarity, and color like she was preparing me for a pop quiz. She had screenshots of her friends' rings saved, with captions. Tiff got a 1.7 carat oval in a hidden halo setting. Oh cool, guess I'm competing in the Olympic Games of jewelry now. I figured, hell, I'm making good money. If I'm gonna do it, might as well do it right. That's what grown-ups do, right? Invest in love? My dad's reaction when I told him the price of the ring? $8,000. Son, I bought your mother's engagement ring for $300 in 1987. She cried when I gave it to her. Not because of the size. Because of what it meant. Yeah, thanks, Dad. Really helpful perspective after I signed the credit card slip. But here's the kicker. 2.5 years of dating. 2.5 years. Never once did this girl mention having a best friend named Tyrone. Yes, that's his real name. Real original, right? From college. Not once. And let me tell you something. Kathy talks. About everyone. And everything. I know her yoga instructor's divorce timeline better than I know my own damn family tree. I know which co-worker ghosted which Tinder date, which one's secretly banging the CFO, and how her hairdresser's stepmom ruined Thanksgiving 3 years in a row. She's basically TMZ with a blowout and an oat milk latte. But somehow, Tyrone never came up, which is suspicious as hell. I mean, for a woman who documents friendships like she's keeping receipts for tax season, leaving out one best friend from college? That's not just a red flag. That's a whole marching band of them waving in synchronized formation. So, 2 months ago, she drops it on me casually over brunch. Like she's commenting on the weather. Oh, by the way, my friend Tyrone from college is moving to Austin for work. By the way, 2.5 years of dating, and you're just now remembering your best friend exists? Lady, you told me about Brenda from HR's cat getting feline diabetes, but Tyrone somehow didn't make the highlight reel. Anyway, Tyrone shows up, and the second I lay eyes on him, I know exactly what kind of dude he is. He's 29, 6 feet 2 inches, probably measures his macros before brushing his teeth, and walks like he's got a slow-motion wind machine following him around. Dude looks like a walking cologne ad. Works for BCG, that's Boston Consulting Group, for those of us who don't spend our lives in airport lounges and overpriced boardrooms. Drives a brand new Porsche Cayenne that still smells like debt and superiority. And I swear, he probably spends more on skincare and nail maintenance than I spend on the ring. His hands look like they've never seen a wrench, let alone a single bad life decision. Meanwhile, mine look like I fistfight engines for a living. Because I do. BCG's one of those consulting firms that charge companies 7 figures to tell them that employee morale improves with free snacks and not firing everyone. Tyrone's got the buzzword vocabulary locked down. Synergy. Optimization. Stakeholder alignment. He talks like he swallowed a TED Talk playlist and washed it down with a $6 cold brew. But honestly, it wasn't just the looks or the LinkedIn on steroids vibe that set off alarm bells. It was Kathy. The way she lit up when he arrived at the airport. I've seen her excited before, like when Sephora has a sale or when her PSL order is spelled right. But this was next level. She sees him, and suddenly she's jumping up and down like she just spotted Harry Styles. Wraps her arms around him like he'd just come back from war and not, downtown San Francisco. Then came the introduction. Me, standing there like a good little fiancé, offering my hand. Kathy, oh, Austin, this is Tyrone. The guy shakes my hand like it's made of wet tissue paper. Yo, what's up, man? Immediately turns back to Kathy like I've vanished into the void. And then it's off to the races. He pulls out his phone, starts showing her pictures. laughing, tossing around inside jokes like we're all back in college. Spoiler, we're not. One of us has a mortgage, a torque wrench, and back pain that changes with the weather. Oh my god, remember Cancun? Kathy squeals. Tyrone. How could I forget? Spring break, 2017. Wild times. And then he's scrolling through beach photos. Him and Kathy, drenched in sunlight, looking like they stepped out of a resort commercial. She's in a bikini that leaves absolutely nothing to the imagination. I mean, I've seen less revealing material on a loofah. He's shirtless, abs out, flexing like he's auditioning for a protein shake commercial. In every single photo, they're posed like they're one tropical breeze away from a honeymoon. Remember when we went parasailing? Tyrone grins, swiping to another photo. This one of the two of them harnessed together, floating through the air like a couple in a sandals commercial. Oh my god, yes. That was amazing. Kathy practically squeals, leaning into him so close I half expected her to climb into his lap and reenact the damn thing right there at the terminal. And I'm just standing there, blinking like a malfunctioning Roomba, trying to process why the hell my fiancé never mentioned parasailing with some shirtless Adonis. Like, not once did, oh hey, remember that time I was strapped to a guy on a beach in Cancun? Come up. Luckily, or unluckily, James was with me. He'd driven me to the airport since my truck was in the shop getting new tires, and he's over by the baggage claim giving me that look. You know the one. Chin slightly raised, eyes wide, one brow arched so high it's got its own zip code. James doesn't need to speak. The man's facial expressions are better than cable TV. He can roast you, your outfit, and your life choices with just an eyebrow twitch. Meanwhile, I'm trying to play it cool. Maybe they're just catching up. Maybe parasailing together was totally platonic. Maybe monkeys will fly out of my tailpipe. But then 45 minutes go by, 45 painfully awkward, third wheel, laughing at every inside joke like I'm not even breathing the same air minutes, and I've had enough. I try to steer the conversation toward, I don't know, something neutral. So, Tyrone, what do you do exactly at BCG? Oh, you know, he starts, flashing teeth so white they could signal a ship at sea. Corporate strategy, innovation scaling, executive optimization. I'm pretty sure he made that one up. I stay at the Four Seasons when I travel. First-class flights, 5-star hotels, unlimited expense accounts. BCG really takes care of us. Adjust his Rolex like he's paid to flex it. I open my mouth to maybe say something about how I run a 6-figure business, build motorcycles for celebs, get featured in magazines. You know, actual cool stuff. But before I can get a single word out, Kathy jumps in. Oh, you should just stay in our guest room. Our guest room. Our place. As in my house. The house I bought, pay the mortgage on, and have been busting my ass to pay off early so we can start our marriage debt-free. Yeah, that house. I try to object, gently mind you. I mean, doesn't the Four Seasons sound a little more your speed? And she shoots me down faster than a bad Yelp review. Babe, it's okay. Come on. He's an old friend. Old friend that somehow never existed in 2.5 years of her talking nonstop about every detail of her life, including, but not limited to Brenda from HR's lactose intolerance. On the drive home, James is already revving up. He's been sitting on his material like a stand-up comic waiting for open mic night. Homeboy got the loyalty of a rental car. He mutters, cracking his knuckles. Plus, he adds, glancing over, he was checking out that bartender while your girl was talking to him. I hadn't noticed the bartender thing. Probably because I was too busy trying not to strangle Tyrone with his own designer scarf, but James noticed. James notices everything. The man could detect shade in a blackout. If Tyrone blinked too slow near Kathy, James would already be muttering, Bro, did he just slow blink at your girl? So, naturally, Tyrone moves into my guest room. Temporarily. Yeah, okay. Temporarily the way that fruitcake at Christmas is just for the season, but somehow keeps showing up every damn year. And it didn't take long before Mr. Mid-Six-Figures consultant started treating my house like it was his Airbnb, except without the paying part. Dudes using my gym equipment, eating my food, even had the audacity, the straight-up titanium-plated balls, to rearrange my living room furniture because, and I quote, it wasn't conducive to conversation. My home gym's in the converted garage, Olympic weights, squat rack, heavy bag, the whole Iron Paradise vibe. Took me 2 years to build that sucker piece by piece off Craigslist, late-night Amazon hunts, and sheer stubbornness. Tyrone strolls in like he's Joe Rogan's cousin, starts using it daily, never cleans up, leaves his disgusting protein shaker bottles in the sink like they're decorative vases, and changes all my equipment settings, so I have to reset every damn machine before I can do a single squat. But it was the furniture thing that finally broke me. I come home one day, expecting peace, maybe a cold beer, maybe to sit on my couch like a damn adult. and walk into a living room that looks like an IKEA showroom got drunk and forgot where the TV goes. My leather sectional? Moved to face the kitchen, because obviously that's where all the cinematic action happens. The coffee table? Gone. Replaced with some abstract, modern art piece that looked like a melted toaster. Oh, and my vintage Harley posters? Taken down. Why? Because apparently paint blobs are more sophisticated than American steel. What the hell is going on, Kathy? I barked. Who gave your friend the right to redecorate my house? Kathy hisses like I just shouted free drinks in a yoga studio. OMG, lower your voice, Austin. He's just used to a more sophisticated aesthetic, she says, flipping her hair like she's auditioning for a shampoo commercial. A sophisticated aesthetic? In my house. Then he should get his own damn place. I want it all like before within 30 minutes. Do I make myself clear? She didn't like that. Her eyes narrowed so hard I could feel the air temperature drop 3 degrees. Then came the defense of Tyrone. The man could have set fire to my backyard grill, and she'd be like, he was just cleansing the energy. Maybe he can clean it after he has put my stuff back where it belongs. My furniture was back to its original place by noon next day. But suddenly, nothing I did was good enough. My house. Not sophisticated enough. My drink selection? Embarrassing. I had beer and whiskey, for shame. My clothes? Outdated. I needed to elevate my look, because Tyrone was used to a certain standard. That's when she started shopping for me. Shows up with bags from Nordstrom full of button-downs and khakis that looked like they came straight from Tyrone's closet. Like she was trying to clone him, but with a beard and a mortgage. I pulled one out, held it up like it was evidence in court. I already have clothes. Good clothes. She sighed like I was a toddler refusing broccoli. You need to elevate your look, babe. For our social circle. Our social circle? I said. Since when did we join the Illuminati? Who the hell are we impressing? Meanwhile, they're in the living room, tossing inside jokes back and forth like a damn sitcom. All these college stories, spring break trips, people I've never heard of. I'm sitting there in my own house, in my own chair, feeling like the third wheel in a relationship I didn't know I'd signed up for. Just a leather jacket wearing ghost in the middle of their memory lane parade, while they laughed about their glory days. Whenever I tried to jump into one of their little nostalgia fests, Kathy would shut me down with some version of, you wouldn't get it. College was different back then. Yeah, sorry I didn't go to fancy-ass UT and blow through daddy's credit limit on Cozumel margaritas and rooftop pool parties. I was too busy, you know, building a future, with grease on my hands and bank loans up to my eyeballs, while they were out there finding themselves on beaches with open bars. Their college stories? Always suspiciously date-adjacent. There was always a Tyrone was my date because I couldn't find anyone else moment. Right, because UT campus just ran out of dudes that week. Sounded more like romantic reruns than platonic throwbacks. Formal dances, rooftop mixers, hotel party weekends. Half of them sounded like rejected Netflix rom-coms. One night, James came over. Bless that man's bluntness. He sat through about 10 minutes of their flirty giggle fest before Tyrone and Kathy left for their now-routine nightly catch-up walk. Just the two of them, strolling the neighborhood like a Hallmark couple in the third act. Meanwhile, I'm inside, cleaning up dinner like a damn sous chef in my own home, or trying to wrench a bike into shape out in the garage with rage-powered elbow grease. Soon as the front door clicked shut, James turned to me, arms folded, eyebrows already locked in maximum judgment mode. Bro, he said, shaking his head. I've seen some pathetic stuff in my time, but watching you get pushed around in your own living room? That takes the cake, the candles, and the sad little birthday hat. I opened my mouth to defend myself, didn't get the chance. What the heck is going on here, he snapped. Tell him to get the hell out. Like, tonight. You're acting like a guest in your own damn house. And the worst part? He wasn't wrong. But it wasn't just James. The cherry on this Sunday of disrespect came the next weekend, when my dad stopped by for our usual Sunday visit. Every other Sunday, like clockwork, Pops and I grill steaks, drink cold beer, and work on whatever busted-up thing I've dragged into the garage. Those Sundays are sacred. Like man church. Just wrenches, meat, and father-son banter. So Pops walks in the door, expecting the usual, smoke, tools, maybe a good curse word or two, and instead finds Tyrone flopped out on my couch in overpriced athleisure, eating my chips, and soaking up Kathy's attention like he's some kind of visiting monarch. Kathy's flitting around like she's his personal assistant. Do you want another LaCroix, Tyrone? Is the lighting too harsh in here, Tyrone? I half expected her to start fanning him with a palm leaf. Pops just stood there, silent, staring. That specific kind of dad silence where you know the brain is booting up to either murder or deliver wisdom. 30 seconds stretched out like a hostage negotiation. Finally, he speaks. Who's this Ken doll? Tyrone, Ever the charming parasite, stands up and extends a hand like he's at a TED Talk. Launches into this polished, rehearsed spiel about his exciting work in corporate strategy and how grateful he is for our hospitality. Like he was giving a damn Yelp review on my hospitality. Pops nodded, politely, which, in dad code, is basically a middle finger with seasoning. Because when Pops doesn't like someone, he gets polite. Dangerously polite. We stepped out onto the back deck and Pops didn't waste time. That boy's not looking for an apartment, Pops said, flipping the steak like he was flipping my reality. He's already found one. Yours. And your girl's acting like she's already moved in with him. He cut through the nonsense like he was slicing brisket. I've been married 35 years, he added. I know what just friends looks like. And that ain't it. That boy's got designs on your woman, and she's letting him have him. So it's high time you either be a simp and let that girl drag you by the balls, or you can grow him bigger. He squinted at me. Otherwise, all the listeners will start typing simp story in the comments section. Yeah, I said that. Hashtag breaking the fourth wall again. And as much as I wanted to argue, trust me, I wanted to, I couldn't. Because he wasn't wrong. In fact, I was already halfway through the simp starter pack, letting some random dude sleep in my guest room, eat my food, and redecorate my living room while I played third wheel in my own relationship. But things hit a whole new level of absurd when Tyrone started taking over our wedding planning. I wish I was joking. This dude had opinions about everything. Music, flowers, food, groomsmen gifts, freaking groomsmen gifts. And Kathy? She was eating it up like it was another overpriced brunch. Constantly talking about Tyrone's amazing taste and how he understood what she liked better than anyone. Oh, better than your fiancé, huh? You know, the guy you're allegedly marrying in a month? That one. The music situation nearly sent me over the edge. Kathy and I had already picked our songs, solid playlist. Bit of classic rock, some country, the stuff that actually meant something to both of us. But Tyrone takes one sniff and declares it too basic. Not sophisticated enough for the venue, he said, like he was judging a wine pairing at a Michelin-starred restaurant. Then he proceeds to spend hours on my laptop, scrolling through his damn Spotify premium account, building a new playlist full of indie and jazz songs that no one in their right mind would dance to. Trust me, he said, leaning back smugly like some hipster wedding guru. This will create the perfect ambience. Your guests will appreciate the elevated musical selection. Yeah, I muttered, as they quietly cry into their craft cocktails. But the breaking point? That came during the cake tasting. Because of course Tyrone had to come. Because apparently he understood Kathy's refined palate. Refined palate? This is the same woman who once ate cold Taco Bell in bed at 11 p.m. and said it was spiritual. But suddenly, now that Tyrone's in town, she's all delicate flavor profiles and palate complexity. When we finally picked a cake, Tyrone's choice, naturally, Kathy turned to him with this look of pure, sparkly-eyed adoration and said, "You always know exactly what I want." To him, not me, not the guy who's been with her for 2.5 years, but to the dude who just showed up with a Porsche and opinions. And when I dared to question why his opinion mattered more than mine, she hit me with that tone. "Don't be so insecure," she said, like I'd just asked her to unfollow a meme page. "Tyrone just has really good taste. He knows what works for events like this." So now, apparently, our wedding, our supposed celebration of us, was no longer about us at all. It was just an event that required Tyrone's expertise to execute properly. When I told James about the cake incident, he nearly choked on his beer. Spit-take level reaction. "Wait," he said, wiping his mouth. "Barbie asked Captain Consultation for approval on your wedding cake." I nodded. He stared at me like I'd just confessed to donating a kidney to a scammer. "Bro," he said, dead serious, "she's not marrying you. She's holding you hostage while she figures out if Tyrone is gonna make it official. You're like the understudy for the guy she actually wants, standing in the wings in case Prince Privilege sprains an ankle." And as much as I wanted to laugh it off, something about the way he said it stuck with me. That brings us to last week. I was working late in the garage, deep into rebuilding a 1977 shovelhead engine. Thing was a rusted mess when it rolled in, but underneath the grime, it was a beauty. The guy wanted a full original spec restoration, and I'd been treating it like a religious mission. Timing had to be perfect. No shortcuts. Just me, the engine, and some classic rock humming in the background. Volume low enough to focus, but loud enough to keep me sane. Garage door was open to let in the breeze. Lucky thing, because that's when I heard them. They were out on the back patio. Figured I couldn't hear them over the music. But what they didn't know is that after years of listening to misfiring pistons and carburetor chatter, I've got ears like a damn bat when it counts. "Kathy," Tyrone said, smooth as ever, "are you really sure about this whole marriage thing?" The wrench in my hand stopped mid-turn. I shut off the tool. The only sound was the music in their voices. Austin's a good guy, Kathy said. Her tone was off, though, wobbly, like she was trying to convince herself more than anyone else. Then Tyrone dropped it. The line he'd been tiptoeing around for 6 weeks. Good guys finish last. Kathy, you deserve someone who matches your intellect, your ambition, your... And here he paused for dramatic effect, like he was reciting Shakespeare at a tech conference. Your class. There it was. Boom. That little word, class. The thing he'd been dancing around since he sauntered into my house like it was his personal spa. I wasn't in Kathy's class. Not smart enough. Not polished enough. Not elevated enough for her social circle that required khakis, sparkling water, and pretentious wedding playlists. Kathy sighed. It's complicated. It doesn't have to be, Tyrone replied. Like he was pitching a merger. You know, there's always been something between us. Always been something between us. My brain hit pause. 6 freaking years of friendship, and this preppy parasite had never stopped wanting her. Playing the long game like a Bond villain in boat shoes. Undermining me one sophisticated opinion at a time. Think about what we could have, he continued. What we've always been building toward. I didn't say anything right away. I let the silence build like a storm behind drywall. Finished wiping the grease off my hands like I wasn't thinking about the 1,000 ways I could throw that wrench through Tyrone's forehead. Then I walked into the house. Calm. Collected. All the rage carefully wrapped up in sarcasm and just enough politeness to make it burn worse. They were on the patio, wine glasses out like it was date night at some Napa vineyard, and Kathy jumped when she saw me. Tyrone had the decency to at least flinch. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. So that's the vibe tonight, huh? Little heart-to-heart under the stars. Kathy stood, instantly defensive. Austin, it's not what it sounded like. He was just trying to talk. He's worried about me. Oh, of course. I smiled, real slow. Because what woman doesn't need relationship advice from her old college friend who's been trying to slide in her DMs since Bush was president? Kathy looked like she wanted to respond, but Tyrone, naturally, couldn't help himself. I just care about Kathy. That's all. She deserves someone who matches her class? I cut in, still smiling. Yeah, I heard that part. Real subtle, by the way. Almost didn't catch the undertone of I'm better than you because I shop at Brooks Brothers and know what caviar tastes like. Austin, Kathy said, trying to keep the peace. He wasn't trying to insult you. He's just concerned. Sure he is, I said, looking Tyrone dead in the eye. That's why he's been staying in my house, rearranging my furniture, giving input on my wedding, and whispering doubts into your ear like some wannabe therapist/wedding planner hybrid. Tyrone opened his mouth, probably to unleash some TED talk about personal growth or emotional compatibility. I beat him to it. When are you moving out, Tyrone? That landed like a slap. What? You heard me. I figure someone with a mid-6-figure salary and a Rolex shouldn't have trouble finding a place that suits his sophisticated aesthetic. So let's not drag it out, all right? Pack up and make it quick. He blinked. Kathy was frozen, mouth slightly open. I nodded like it was a business transaction. If you need help packing your skincare routine or your curated jazz playlist, let me know. I've got tape. The next morning, I called James first thing, still running on 0 sleep, caffeine, and pure betrayal-induced adrenaline. Soon as he picked up, he didn't even say hello. Well, if it isn't Captain Cuck. James, what did you hear, Cucky? He cut in, straight to the point. So I told him. Every word. Line for line. Tyrone's greatest hits, unplugged and unfiltered, complete with Kathy's Oscar-worthy performance in Emotional Confusion, Patio Edition. James didn't even pretend to be surprised. Bro, he said, I told you so, and that dude just told you exactly what he's been planning this whole time. He's not hiding it anymore. The only question is, what are you going to do about it? Yeah, what was I going to do about it? Sit around like a chump while my fiancé and her emotional life coach played footsie over grilled salmon? Nah. That afternoon, I waited until Kathy got home from work, all chirpy and glowing like nothing was wrong, and I hit her with it straight. Kathy, Tyrone needs to find his own place, I said. She blinked. What? Weddings in 3 weeks. We need to focus on us. Not entertaining your personal consultant every night like we're running a spa for emotionally unavailable yuppies. Besides, he is a grown man. He should not need a babysitter like you. And that's when she detonated. You are selfish, she shrieked, like I'd just asked her to evict her grandmother. You want him out now, when he's trying to establish himself in a new city? Asking an uninvited freeloading bastard to vacate my house. That's not selfish, that is practical and logical. Besides, he has a 6-figure job, I said, calm as a monk. He can establish himself at the Four Seasons. Wrong answer. If you're going to be jealous and controlling, maybe we should postpone the wedding. What? I said, holding up my hand like a referee stopping the game. You'd postpone our wedding because I want that stupid Ken doll out of my house. She crossed her arms, tone ice cold. I'd postpone it because you're being paranoid and controlling. Paranoid, I said, slowly. For not wanting my fiancé to cohabitate with her best friend who just admitted he's been pining for her for 6 years? He's my oldest friend, Austin. How can you be so heartless? She added. And that's when I decided to cut the chase and ask a very important question. If you had to choose right now, between me and Tyrone, what would you say? Silence. Long, loaded, pregnant silence. The kind of silence where you can literally hear someone's brain buffering, trying to load the version of the truth that offends the fewest people. That's a ridiculous question, she said finally, clearly stalling. It's a simple question, I replied. If you had to choose, right now, who would you pick? She looked like I'd handed her a live grenade and asked her to decorate it. I shouldn't have to choose between my fiancé and my friend. But if you did, another pause, long enough that I started considering whether to grab a beer and a chair. I watched her face as the reality sank in. The way her jaw clenched, the twitch in her brow. She was searching for an answer that didn't exist. Then she said it. Tyrone's been in my life longer. 6 years versus 2.5. Tyrone wins. It hit like a punch to the gut. A clean, brutal shot. But it also clarified everything. She'd made her choice. Hell, she'd probably been making it for 6 weeks, maybe longer. I was just the last clown to show up at the circus. Soon as she stormed out of the house, dramatic exit, heels clacking like gunshots on the tile, I picked up the phone and called James. She chose him, bro time to throw out the garbage. He didn't even hesitate. Of course she did. Princess wants her prince, not the mechanic. And that was it. The final gear clicked into place. So, I spent the rest of that day doing what I do best, taking apart a bad situation, bolt by bolt. First call, my lawyer. Nice guy. Bit too enthusiastic about legalese, but he got the job done. In Texas, he told me, engagement rings are conditional gifts. Which basically meant, if there's no wedding, I get the rock back. Doesn't matter who calls it off. Bingo. That $8,000 reminder of my stupidity? Coming home to Papa. Next. Operation. Cancel regret. Venue. Caterer. Band. Photographer. The venue manager was surprisingly cool. Apparently, weddings get nuked all the time. She said it like she was talking about coffee orders. Better to lose a deposit than pay for a lifetime of therapy, she joked. I liked her. The caterer? Not so chill. Sir, we already ordered the imported duck confit. Then feed it to Tyrone, I said, and hung up. $5,000 down the drain. Whatever. Still cheaper than alimony. The photographer, though, absolute legend. Said, sorry to hear, man. Want to do a photo shoot with your bikes instead? Something gritty and cinematic? Honestly, that sounded way cooler than fake smiles and fondant. Then it was time to assemble the squad. Avengers style. Called James, obviously. Then my brother Henry, 2 years older, no filter, zero patience for anything that smells like drama. Noah from the shop closed early, said screw it, and brought sodas in his tool bag. My cousin Elijah, who works private security, rolled in like a retired Navy SEAL, black cargo pants, earpiece, resting scowl. Looked like he was auditioning for the Equalizer, Austin edition. James showed up first. Cooler of energy drinks in one hand, his biggest shit-eating grin in the other. This, he said, cracking one open, is going to be better than a UFC pay-per-view. Then he leaned in. You finally gonna grow a pair and kick these freeloaders out. When Kathy and Tyrone got back from dinner, yet another meal I wasn't invited to, another decision made without consulting the guy supposedly getting married, they walked in all smiles. Until they saw us. Me, sitting in the living room with the squad, paperwork on the table like we were about to draft legislation. James was smirking like he was courtside at a drama championship. Elijah stood off to the side, arms crossed, doing his best don't start none won't be none impression. Noah and Henry just nodded like bouncers at a club called No More Bullshit. The look on their faces was priceless. Tyrone went pale like someone unplugged his Wi-Fi. Kathy went red, not the flirty kind of red either. This was vein-popping, high-octane, engine overheating kind of red. Austin, she started, voice trembling. We need to talk about this morning. Actually, I said, standing up, we don't. I looked straight at Tyrone. You've got 2 hours to get your stuff out of my house. Excuse me. Kathy's voice hit that glass-shattering octave. The one that usually meant some poor waiter was about to get Yelp reviewed into early retirement. And Kathy, I said, turning to her, here's your 30-day notice. You're moving out, too. She looked down at the eviction notice like it was written in ancient Greek. Then back at me. Then at my four-man tribunal of unimpressed manhood. Reality hit her like a cold mimosa to the face. And then came the meltdown. You can't do this, she said. You can't just take back an engagement ring. Oh, but I can, I said, channeling every Texas lawyer I've ever paid. Conditional gift. Texas law. If there's no wedding, the ring comes back to me. You're welcome to Google it. Tyrone can help. He's probably got Wi-Fi in his Porsche. That's when Tyrone tried to play peacemaker, stepping in with his soothing consultant voice. Hey man, maybe we can all just... Elijah didn't say a word, just turned his head slightly, like a security camera locking onto a target. You talk one more time, I will bust you up so bad that the doctor will refuse to look at you. Tyrone's eyes hit that fight or flight moment, and flight won. He gave Elijah one of those polite, scared laugh chuckles and said, I'll start packing. Smart man. Kathy wasn't done though. People can have friends of the opposite sex, Austin. You're being unreasonable and controlling. Yeah, I said. But most friends don't get you to postpone your wedding, redecorate your house, and act like your fiancé doesn't exist. She opened her mouth to fire back, but I held up a hand. Ring, Kathy. She yanked it off, full drama, and threw it at me like she was auditioning for a soap opera. I caught it midair, clean. All those years tuning carburetors finally paid off. Fine, she snapped. Take your stupid ring. But don't come crawling back when you realize what you've lost. Oh, I know exactly what I'm dodging. James leaned forward on the couch, grinning like the devil at a roast. Give it a week. Money says they're posting couple pics by Friday. Tyrone was gone within an hour, packed up his designer luggage and his 12-step skincare routine, and slithered back to whatever five-star hotel had vacancy for emotionally manipulative freeloaders. Kathy. She spent the day crying and rage-packing, throwing things into boxes like it was a competitive sport. My guy stuck around just to make sure she didn't accidentally damage anything on her way out. No one helped her load her stuff into the U-Haul. She had to haul her curated throw pillows and overpriced scented candles out of my house one box at a time, all while trying to maintain that I'm the victim here face for the neighbors. By noon, my phone was blowing up like I'd committed a war crime instead of dodging a marital bullet. First call, her mom. Full banshee mode. You humiliated our family. You destroyed Kathy's happiness. I tried to explain. Calmly. Ma'am, your daughter is a bitch who was more interested in her male buddy than her fiancé, and you and your family can shove Kathy's happiness up your... Click. Didn't even let me finish. Guest conversations in that family work like light switches. Off when inconvenient. About an hour later, her dad called. He was more reasonable. You know, in the disappointed suburban dad who expected more from you. Young man kind of way. I just don't understand why you couldn't work things out. Sir, I said, trying my best not to sound like I was about to lose it. I didn't humiliate anyone. I just decided not to marry someone who doesn't want to marry me. He huffed something about regret and decency and hung up. My dad was sitting next to me for most of it, sipping coffee like he was watching daytime soap operas. That woman's got some nerve, he muttered. Then, these people are delusional. Followed by his favorite. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Your girl showed you exactly who she was. Good thing you were paying attention. And then came the bridesmaids. Oh boy, group text lighting up my phone like Vegas. Controlling. Manipulative. Emotionally stunted. Apparently, I was the devil incarnate because I couldn't handle Kathy having male friends. Right. Friends. Friends don't live in your house. Friends don't rearrange your damn furniture. Friends don't tell your fiancée she deserves better. That's not friendship. That's auditioning for her future. Meanwhile, Kathy's out here turning her Instagram stories into The Handmaid's Tale. Toxic masculinity is real, she posted, over a filtered selfie with tearful eyes and a hashtag strong women caption. Insecure men can't handle women with male friends. I mean, really? James was having an absolute field day. He screenshotted everything, giving commentary like it was SportsCenter. Look at this one, he snorted. Sometimes you have to cut toxic people out of your life. Yeah, good thing you cut yourself out of his life, sweetheart. The comments on her posts were split. Half of them were her sorority sisters hyping her up like she'd just escaped a hostage situation. The other half, people who actually knew the real story, calling her out, subtly and not so subtly. My personal favorite was someone who wrote, "Didn't your friend move in like 5 minutes after the breakup?" Speaking of which, guess where Kathy landed within 5 days? Tyrone's shiny new downtown loft. What are the odds? Apparently, he found a furnished place in one of those luxury high-rises where they valet your groceries and your ego. And Kathy moved right in as his temporary roommate. You know, while she figured out her next steps. Their social media told the whole damn story in real time. You didn't need a private investigator, just Wi-Fi and basic reading comprehension. Suddenly, it was like the Tyrone and Kathy show, now streaming on Instagram Live. First it was subtle. A picture of them at a rooftop bar, all smiles, with the caption, "Grateful for real friends who stick by you during the hard times." Sure, friends who wear matching outfits and sit so close you're basically conjoined. Then came the daily posts. Tyrone making breakfast, Tyrone and Kathy hiking, Tyrone pretending to read a book while she candidly snapped photos. Everything dipped in that fake deep, influencer-level wisdom. James kept sending me screenshots like he was reporting for TMZ. "You mad yet?" he'd text. But honestly, I wasn't. I was relieved. Watching them try to soft-launch their relationship while pretending it was still platonic was like watching a slow-motion car crash. Cringy, predictable, and weirdly satisfying. "Look at this one," James said, forwarding another gem. "So grateful for friends who really understand me." "Yeah," I replied. "Friends who understand you need to get naked together." My dad's take. Straight from the old-school handbook of wisdom and zero BS. "Son," he said, "actions don't lie. Those two are together now. Probably were before. You're better off without either of them." And he was right. Because 3 weeks later, on what should have been my wedding day, I was at the gym, lifting heavy and feeling light. That's when I met Julia. She was at the squat rack next to mine, doing deadlifts with perfect form and lifting more than the guy 2 benches over who grunted like he was giving birth. I noticed her because, well, she was actually working out. No selfies. No performative nonsense. Just focus and power. She caught me watching, mid-lift, and gave me this smirk. "You checking my form, or just being creepy?" "Checking your form," I said, shrugging. "Most people lift with their back instead of their legs. You actually know what you're doing." She laughed. Confident. Unbothered. No high-pitched drama voice in sight. After the workout, we grabbed coffee. She asked what I did for work. "I run a custom motorcycle shop," I said. Her eyes lit up. Not that fake sparkle Kathy used to flash when there were cameras around. This was the real deal. Curiosity. Enthusiasm. Respect. "That's so cool," she said. "Is it true Harleys are harder to handle than sport bikes?" No shame. No eye roll. No sideways glance like I should have been wearing a tie and carrying a briefcase. Just genuine interest in what I built with my own hands. When I offered to teach her to ride, she didn't hesitate. Julia is different from Kathy in every way that matters. She's got her own money, her own business, her own goals. She doesn't need anyone to take care of her or validate her choices. When we go out to dinner, Julia insists on splitting the check like we're 2 co-workers grabbing lunch. Not like she's trying to secretly tally how many dinners it'll take before she starts calling me babe in public. Took some convincing to let me cover it, but she caved eventually. Said something about how I earned it by not being a walking red flag. Fair enough. We weren't officially dating, though. Not yet. I wasn't about to rebound that fast. Last thing I needed was to dive headfirst into another relationship before the smoke cleared from the Kathy Tyrone dumpster fire. But we were hanging out, enjoying each other's company. Friends. For now. A month later, Julia meets James and my dad. I could practically hear the drum roll. James's verdict? Immediate and loud, per usual. "Bro, she looks at you like you're the only guy in the room. Not like she's shopping for a husband on Amazon Prime. James, we're not dating yet." "Shut up, dude. You're acting like it's rocket science." Dad's approval was even better. The man said 10 words, and that was enough. "Son, this one's a keeper. I can tell. Coming from a guy who once told me a chili dog was a religious experience and hasn't upgraded a flip phone since 2009, that was high praise." For months post-breakup, I'm at the shop wrench deep in a custom job. Phone rings. Unknown number. I answer anyway. Could be a client using their cousin's line or some influencer trying to get a collab bike for exposure. You never know. "Austin, it's me," she sobbed. "Kathy." Full-on waterworks. My first instinct. Hang up. No hesitation. What were we possibly going to talk about? The weather? Her favorite jazz playlist? But something in her voice gave me pause. Not sympathy. More like that curiosity you get when someone who ghosted you in middle school suddenly sends a friend request. "How'd you get this number? Please don't hang up. I need to talk to you." Turns out she'd shown up at the shop crying, mascara running like a goth musical, and convinced Noah to give her my personal number. Said it was an emergency. Of course it was. She'd made a horrible mistake and needed me back. Then she dropped the nuke. She was pregnant. And Tyrone? Gone. The same guy who understood her soul more than I ever could? The man with the refined palate and designer loungewear? The one who knew exactly what she wanted? Used her. Said he'd always loved her. Got her to dump me. Then bounced the second she told him about the baby. Poof. Out. Ghosted like he had an allergic reaction to fatherhood. "Sounds like you picked the wrong guy," I said flatly. "I picked wrong," she sniffled. "You were the right guy. You're stable and dependable and good and beneath your social class." I finished for her. "I remember. Austin, please. I have nothing." "Oh, I believe it." Apparently, Tyrone's firm offered him a transfer to Denver, and he took it immediately. Didn't tell Kathy. Didn't ask her to come. Just informed her 2 days before he left. Like she was a package scheduled for return shipping. Call your friends, I told her. They had a lot to say about what a catch you were. They're not talking to me either. Now they think I'm an idiot for leaving you for Tyrone. Finally, something we agree on. She begged me to give her a chance. Counseling, prenups, therapy with a coupon, whatever I wanted. I do love you, she said. I realized it when I lost you. No, sweetheart. You got pumped and dumped by Tyrone. And now you want me for stability. I hung up. Immediately blocked the number. But of course, that wasn't the end of it. Oh no. Kathy went full soap opera. Started showing up at my shop crying in the parking lot like we were filming a low-budget sequel to The Notebook, only with more engine grease and less Ryan Gosling. First time, I ignored her. Figured she'd get the message. Second time, I sent Noah out. Told him to let her know she wasn't welcome. Third time, I started snapping photos like I was documenting wildlife for National Geographic. That's when I called my lawyer and filed a restraining order. The look on her face when the bailiff served her the papers? Priceless. Just pure shock that actions have actual consequences. Like showing up repeatedly at someone's workplace after being told to leave is, shocker, illegal. Fast forward 6 months. I'm at Sturgis, biggest bike rally in the country, surrounded by chrome, thunder, leather jackets, and beer flowing like it's being shot out of fire hoses. Julia's with me, looking badass in a tank top and aviators, when my phone buzzes. Unknown number, with an attached photo. It's Kathy, obviously pregnant, working behind the counter at some chain restaurant, wearing a wrinkled polyester uniform and a headset, looking like the sadness emoji in human form. The message reads, "Thought you'd want to see how your ex is doing. Karma's a witch." No name, but I'm guessing it was one of her former bridesmaids, probably one of the ones who was calling me controlling and insecure 6 months ago. Funny how silence hits different when you're flipping burgers and the ring you threw at your ex never came back. Kathy had burned a lot of bridges. Turns out when you blow up your life for a guy who disappears faster than your wedding deposits, people start re-evaluating your judgment. I stared at the photo for a second, expected to feel smug, vindicated, something, but all I felt was confirmation. Confirmation that I dodged a bullet the size of a freight train. Kathy looked wrecked, tired, bloated, hair tied back in one of those sad little food service scrunchies. Eyes puffy, lips pressed into a thin line of regret, and probably dealing with customers screaming about extra ranch. Julia glanced at the photo and just shrugged. Sucks for her. But that's what happens when you blow up your life for the wrong guy. No drama. No passive-aggressive jabs. No weird jealousy spiral. Just straight-up maturity. She didn't need to analyze Kathy's situation or compare herself. Tyrone never came back to Austin. Word through mutuals is he got transferred to BCG's London office not long after his little Denver disappearing act. Classic corporate damage control. Consultant causes drama. Easy. Yeet him across the Atlantic. Problem solved. Much easier to tuck him into a high-rise in Mayfair than deal with the PR fallout from abandoning your pregnant friend in Texas. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they threw in a raise and a company shrink. As for Kathy, yeah, that went downhill real fast. Her parents, big UT donors, country club types with Range Rovers and family portraits that look like political campaign posters, completely cut her off. Not even a gentle fade-out. Just full-on, ruthless cold shoulder. Apparently once the story got out, how she dumped the hard-working business owner Fiancé for some glossy consultant who bailed the moment things got real. They decided she was too much of a liability for their Christmas card photo. Rich people problems. Image matters more than blood. Their family crest might as well be a LinkedIn logo and a bottle of Pinot. And just like that, the social media queen went radio silent. No more TED Talk-length captions about toxic masculinity or knowing your worth. No more brunch photos with girls in floppy hats holding champagne like it's a job requirement. Just darkness. Probably sitting in that dimly lit South Side apartment wondering how the hell she went from rooftop mimosas to clocking in at the late shift for minimum wage and attitude. BMW? Repossessed. Designer bags? Sold. Country club? Cancelled. And Tyrone? Enjoying scones in London while pretending his phone doesn't work internationally. Meanwhile, on the non-dumbass side of town, Julia and I were thriving. We were officially dating. Felt right. Natural. None of that walking on eggshells nonsense. She moved into my place. Not a single argument about furniture or aesthetic. Hell, she loves the exposed brick. Calls it authentic. My kind of woman. She thinks custom bikes are badass, which, of course, is factually correct. And get this, she wants to convert part of the garage into a vintage furniture restoration space. You know what that means. Joint projects. She sandblasts a dresser while I rebuild a carburetor. That's peak couple goals right there. Even Pops approves, big time. This one's got her head screwed on straight and her priorities in order. She makes you better without trying to change you. Which, in dad speak, is basically a marriage proposal. Look, I get it. Some people say I overreacted, that I should have been more understanding. That being insecure is a bad look. But call me old school. I don't believe in building a life with someone who's still stuck in spring break mode with her friend. If that's insecurity, I'll take it over stupidity any day. 2 months after the restraining order, I'm out in Westlake Hills delivering a custom Ducati to one of those tech execs with a man bun, Patagonia vest, in a driveway full of vehicles he probably doesn't know how to start without voice commands. This wasn't just any bike either. 2018 Panigale V4, full custom paint job, Olean suspension upgrade, titanium Akrapovic exhaust, the whole damn dream package. Dude paid cash. No questions asked. Just handed over a thick envelope like we were in a mob movie and told me to make her sing. While I'm running through the delivery checklist, torque specs, tire pressure, engine break-in, all that stuff he was clearly ignoring, he starts making small talk. Says he's flying to London next week for some high-level meetings with BCG consultants. Oh yeah? I ask, acting casual while I wipe down the seat. Yeah, bunch of pretentious kids who think spreadsheets are sacred texts. They act like they invented business because they went to fancy schools. And then, boom, he drops it. There's this one douche, Tyrone Morrison. Dude talks like he's single-handedly responsible for Apple's market cap. Total waste of a paycheck. Well. Look who got a glowing review. There you are, Barbie face. Turns out Tyrone was just as smug and useless in London as he'd been in Austin. Except now he had a posh accent and was probably spelling color with a U. According to Mr. Ducati, every one of Tyrone's brilliant recommendations cost the company money without fixing a thing. Which checks out, because that's basically Tyrone's brand. Talk big, do little, and disappear before the invoice hits. I got home and decided to do some digital recon. Pulled up Tyrone's LinkedIn. Man's out here writing essays about value-added frameworks and optimizing client engagement through synergy. Translation? He's just winging it with buzzwords. Meanwhile, his Instagram is an entirely different movie. Bottle service, rooftop bars, British women who look like they say yeah instead of yes. One photo had the caption, "Work hard, play harder." Yeah, must be real hard work ghosting the mother of your unborn child from an entire continent away. Meanwhile, Kathy, still in Austin, working double shifts at some burger chain, probably smelling like fryer grease and broken dreams. Pregnant, alone, crying into a polyester visor, even for a certified douche bag that was cold. Tyrone clearly thought London was his clean slate. A fresh start, a no Kathy zone. So I did what any rational, heartbroken, completely over it ex-fiancé would do. I gave Karma his forwarding address. Wrote the most professional email of my damn life to BCG's London HR. Not angry, not petty, just factual. Subject, regarding your consultant, Mr. Tyrone Morrison. Laid it all out. How he'd pursued and emotionally manipulated a woman in Austin, convinced her to break off an engagement, got her pregnant, then skipped town the second she told him. Attached screenshots, photos, a link to her GoFundMe that one of her co-workers had started. I even quoted a line from BCG's own core values page. We lead with integrity and build trust by always doing the right thing. Let them connect the dots. I was just helpfully supplying the crayons. But that didn't feel like enough. So I went old school. Found Tyrone's parents on Facebook. Jonah and Willow Morrison. Real estate royalty in Dallas. They look like the kind of people who drink sparkling water from a wine glass and name their labradoodles after dead poets. Then I found Victoria, Willow's college roommate, still listed in her tagged photos. And, plot twist, Victoria volunteers at a pregnancy center in Austin. Small world, huh? She's one of those sweet church ladies who wears chunky jewelry and calls everyone sweetie. Ran into her totally by accident at the farmer's market. Struck up a little conversation while she was inspecting heirloom tomatoes. Ever heard of a woman named Kathy? I ask. Young, pregnant, been through some stuff lately. Oh yes, bless her heart. She sounds familiar. She got left by some Dallas rich kid named Tyrone Morrison. Said he always loved her, talked her into ending her engagement, and then bailed to London when things got real. Victoria went still, clutched her reusable tote like I'd just slapped her with a church bulletin. Tyrone Morrison? Willow's boy. Yeah, that one. Oh my goodness, she whispered, eyes widening. She would be mortified. Willow's always going on about Tyrone's success and character. Every time she ran into someone at Whole Foods, it was, "Oh, my Tyrone is doing so well in London. BCG is lucky to have him. Such a driven young man." Yeah, Willow. Driven. Right off the moral cliff. She had no idea. 3 weeks later, I get a call from that same tech exec in Westlake, the Ducati guy. Wants another bike. We're talking performance upgrades when he casually drops. Hey, remember that Tyrone guy from BCG? Got yanked from London. Back in Dallas now. Some HR issue and family pressure. Dude looked miserable during our last Zoom call. I nearly dropped my torque wrench from how hard I grinned. So I do what any responsible adult does. I check Instagram. And man, it was like watching a financial thriller unravel. One minute he's sipping cocktails in a London Sky Lounge. Next minute, poof, no more rooftop selfies. No more suits with no socks aesthetic. No more captions like elevate your grind. Just one sad, lonely post in front of a generic beige building in Dallas. Excited for new opportunities back home. Translation, my mom caught me being a scumbag and now I'm grounded for life. The comments? Absolutely savage. Old London friends. Wait, what happened? Some Dallas socialites. So proud of you for coming home. One bold soul. Is this Kathy's baby daddy? Tagged and everything. And that's when I found out the real MVP of this story wasn't me, or even karma. It was Victoria, Nicole Morrison's old college roommate. Turns out she didn't just make an offhand comment at the farmer's market. No, Victoria went full Desperate Housewives, Highland Park edition on this thing. She organized what can only be described as a ladies' intervention. Brought every tennis-playing, wine-sipping, gossip-wielding mom in a 10-mile radius into the loop. Willow, humiliated by her son's very public fail, yanked Tyrone back to Dallas so fast the Heathrow air traffic controllers probably needed a moment. Not only that, she made him quit BCG. Let that sink in. She made him quit. You've embarrassed the family, Tyrone. Now go work for your father flipping strip malls and stay off Instagram. He's now working for daddy's real estate firm, probably showing foreclosed condos and crying into his green juice. But here's the cherry on top. Willow didn't just make him move back and scrub his socials. Oh no, she made him set up a trust fund. A legally binding, ironclad, monthly support dispersing, scandal-shushing trust fund. So now, not only is Tyrone stuck doing commercial property tours for minimum prestige, he's also funding the very woman he ghosted. And Kathy? She's no longer flipping burgers. That trust fund comes with healthcare, stable monthly payments, and enough left over to stop living paycheck to paycheck. She didn't lift a wrench, file a suit, or throw a punch. All she had to do was let karma do its thing, through LinkedIn and Highland Park soccer moms with Wi-Fi. And let this be a PSA to the next poor soul out there. If she ever tells you, he's just a friend, smile, nod, and start collecting receipts. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.